Welcome back to part 8 of restoring my 1915 Massey steam hammer. In the last episode, I remade a brand new cast iron valve. It replaces this old one that is now undersized. We've got that component to have a think of, but the first job on the menu today is making a brand new piston valve rod, because the 110-year-old one is all crusty and needs remaking. I got some 22mm cold-rolled EN8 1040 bar to use, and so it's to the lathe. By the way, this episode is sponsored by Perplexity Computer. It's now time for us to return to the topic of thread cutting at the lathe. In episode 5, I decided, when I was making the bolts for attaching the base to the anvil, that I was going to try a method of thread cutting involving in-feed with the compound set at 30 degrees, 29.5 technically. Now, I did a whole chalk drawing on the ground explaining what I was going to do. In principle, I understood the concept, but as we all know, what is in theory and what is in practice is not necessarily the same thing. Here's what I did. I turned the compound across 29.5 degrees. There. The resulting thread I cut was not good, and I had to finish it with the cross slide to make an improvement. I asked you all to let me know what could possibly be going wrong, and you very kindly informed me about the rookie error that I made. As it currently stands, I am feeding in 60 degrees to the line of the spindle. We need to be feeding in 30 degrees, which means I should have turned this thing around to 60.5 degrees. It's meant to look like this, which is much more like the drawing I made on the ground. So thank you all so much. I am so grateful that I get to learn from you guys in the comments. Right, now check this out. The threads that we are trying to match look like any regular thread. That looks just like a 3mm pitch. That'll do the job. No. In fact, not all threads are the same. There are metric threads, where the little triangles have a 60-degree angle, and there are Whitworth threads with a 55-degree angle. This old steam hammer was built in 1915 England in Manchester, and all the threads on it are Whitworth threads. So you'll see on this end it is a 9 tooth per inch 55-degree Whitworth, and here it is 1/2 inch 13 teeth per inch on this other side. This means I can't use any of the thread cutting tooling that I already have. Having only ever turned metric threads in my life, all my tooling is for metric 60-degree threads, which is not the same as our Whitworth 55-degree. It would do the job, it would be close, but it wouldn't be technically correct, and so I need to make my first ever thread cutting lathe tooling out of a high-speed steel blank. It won't be carbide, but it'll do just fine. Got my copy of Machinery's Handbook out so we can figure out what's going on grinding this, because there are a lot of angles that I don't understand. Where are you? T-taps. Cutting. 2099. Relief angles for single point thread cutting tools. Right. This I don't understand. Whoa. I've got an idea. Boom, boom. Analyze these 2 pages and make me a tool to work out the relief angles. Or Whitworth. Mate, can you understand any of this? Tan, leader thread divided by pi k.
You don't understand that?
No, I don't.
Sort of dumbass.
Dude, I did not get to this point in school. It's done. Oh my goodness. Today's sponsor, Perplexity Computer, saves the day. Here we go. British Standard Whitworth, 7/8 diameter thread, 9 teeth per inch. That means leading edge needs to be 12.7 degrees, trailing edge 7.7, and it pulled the tip nose radius for making that size of thread, which is 15 thousandths of an inch. We're back in business. There's the tool. Quadruple check, 9 pitch. Let's get it right this time. 7.5, 8, 9. A, R, 2, Y. A, R, 2. Definitely saying 2, Y. Let's make sure it's right. Definitely 9. It's 9, it's 9, it's 9. Now we've got to think about how far in we're going to push the tool, and since we're feeding with the compound, we're going to be feeding in on an angle. I built an app for that. A single point threading tool, Whitworth, 7/8, 9, spits out the major and minor diameter, but we're gonna be doing compound in feed. I'm gonna need my compound at 26.5 degrees, depending on how it's referenced. It could be 63.5, spits out everything I need to know. Let's send it. All right. Golly, I made that tool. That's so satisfying. I think it's gonna do the job. A couple more passes, we should be there. Yeah, baby. Now we're starting to feel that chatter. There's a lot of tool pressure now. Spring pass. Lovely stuff. A moment of truth. Yes. Ah, it is perfect. The nut works. We've got it in the lathe like this. Next step, take it out, flip it around, turn this down to a 1/2 inch, put a thread on it, maybe even break out the tool post grinder again. Just because we're concentric here doesn't mean that we're concentric at the end. That's a lot of wobble. We gotta fix that with an hammer. Oh, beautiful. I think this is my longest ever continuous chip. Thousandths of an inch to go. But since I am now a boozy bitch with a tool post grinder, let's try and get it real nice. Oh! Get some! We need a thread on it. Fortunately, look what I found in my little Facebook Marketplace haul. A 1/2 inch Whitworth die. Put you there, and any time, any moment now. Any moment now, it should start cutting. Yeah, there we go, go on. And that is almost done. I was setting this up like I was about to say it was done. It's not done. 2 more things need to be done. Up. Some wrench flats. Make sure you can get some torque on her. I dare say this is going to be a tremendous improvement over the original. Now, I was going to leave it there. You will note that there is one component that we haven't changed, and that is this little fella here. This is a component that I don't fully understand. I've got ideas on what this component might be, but I just don't know exactly what its purpose is. It is, of course, very worn. It's in a very rough as-cast state. How it sits in the original is with a tremendous amount of play on the shaft, but knowing what the purpose of a component is part of what tells you how to design the replacement for it. Is it meant to have that play, or is it not? Does that play serve as a purpose, or doesn't it? Knowing the answer to those questions would give me the certainty to be able to say, yes, I need to make a new one, or no, I don't, and if I do need to make a new one, how on earth I'm going to bloom and make it. I'm gonna sleep on it, have a think about what we do with that, have a breather on this, and announce that I'm getting a forklift next week, which is just thrilling, apart from the fact that as it currently stands, I'm not gonna be able to store it inside. We're obviously out of space in the real workshop. This is the second workshop, and my hope is to be able to drive the forklift up into here and store it undercover. The trouble is, I don't want to ruin my forklift tires going up over this ledge that is 120 millimeters tall, so I'm going to need a ramp that can support the 9 tons that is the forklift that's arriving. To the plasma table. And as per usual, I didn't really plan ahead in advance. Drawing this thing up would probably take me the better part of an hour, because I'm pretty slow at that. What if I could just speak it? Make me a ramp out of 6mm steel that is 500 millimeters wide. Plasma cut steel. Come have a look at this. 125 high, 300 millimeters wide. Side plate, internal rib, side plate. That's our deck. We need 2 of these. I've got it running a recurring task to check current steel prices, which means I know this should cost me £30 in steel for each ramp. I sync this up with my Gmail account, but Perplexity Computer can also perform tasks and connect with countless other tools like Dropbox, Outlook, Calendar, and many more. Your own creativity is all that's holding you back from building tools to make your day run smoother. I can save the DXF to my phone in one tap, and I've got it integrated to my Gmail, which means that I can send it across to the plasma cutting computer, and we can start building these things. Oh, no! Ah, my teeth!
Oh my God!
Boom. Building all these tools was super simple. I did most of it from my phone using speech-to-text in the Perplexity Computer app. I'm then able to iterate on each version to make adjustments to turn it into exactly what I want. Computer's unlike other tools because when you give it a task, it delegates that plan to other models to get the job done without you having to micromanage it. I particularly enjoy this tool because the time I saved not drawing these relatively simple parts is time that I can now spend drawing the significantly more complex parts that I need to work on next. Wait a second. There we go. 2 ramps over here on the big receiver. We've got an open port, rainwater is getting in there. I've made a light version of this tool that you can use that isn't connected to my Gmail account. 230mm flange. I made that drawing on my phone, but I realized this is for rainwater not getting in, so none of that. You can try this tool and my other Perplexity Computer tools by clicking the link in the description and then build on them yourself. We appreciate Perplexity sponsoring us. We're living in the future, guys. I've come to a conclusion. We're here to do the best possible job of restoring this hammer. There is no way that we're gonna leave this component as is with all of that slop. I'm gonna remake this part. We're here to do a proper job, so what's stopping us other than the fear of not knowing how to make the part. And so what I have gone ahead and done is I spent some time making some drawings up in Onshape. 2 sets of drawings because I need a start drawing and then a drawing with the draft angle. This component would have originally been cast and then kind of machined from cast, but you see there is a taper here. That is a draft angle for casting. So I'm gonna try my best to replicate those features. I'm going to be making this out of some more of that chunky cast iron. I'm hoping to be able to include a bronze bush so that we can keep our shaft in pristine condition. In the background, while I'm getting a start, I've got the 3D printer working to make up some of these components that I can actually kind of look at, feel, take measurements off of where my drawings aren't cutting it. This is gonna be an incredibly challenging part for me to machine. That's gonna be a real head scratcher. That is for certain. 53.35. We're now getting close to our final dimension here on the OD of this part. I wrote in a nominal value of 53.45, but I knew that I'd want to come back and actually measure the bore of our piston valve to get the fit right. So I want to get this component pushed in there with a little bit of pressure so it doesn't spin, but I don't want it to be so much of a tight fit that it breaks the component, because frankly, out of cast iron, it's probably going to be quite fragile, but I also want the ability to get it out if I need to. So we are back to a topic that has caused me some serious confusion over the past few months, which is hole and shaft fit problems. It turns out I had all the information here. It's actually a gift from Jamie's dad. Thank you, Steve. You know, all these types of tables exist. An engineer that's been around the block can obviously understand this stuff. I never could. One of you very kindly sent me a spreadsheet that you built that helped me understand this topic more. That, along with some of my own research, means that I'm getting a better feel for how to not only design these parts that need to fit together in a certain way, but also manufacture them. But I obviously got something up my sleeve, so let's go ahead and measure this thing. I made sure that it has explanations so that you can learn about what hole basis is, shaft basis is. You can learn about the terminology for different types of fits and the grading nomenclature for them, learn about the actual clearance or interference, and get a graphic to see what it looks like. I was able to make an app that I wish existed for me and now for you. Taking this past the 53.44, this should leave about 35 microns to go. I'm not going to break out the tool post grinder on this part because I don't have enough space. And I don't think it should need it for this to fit. Just a tickle. We're bang on. That is exactly what I wanted. Ugh. Now making a holding shank. Now we just got to make this from that. Top of the feature is machined, but have a look at this. See the amount of gappage That gappage is our airflow. A very important part of the airflow, it's the flow for the air that gets exhausted out of the bottom of the cylinder, which is the air that's exhausting as the ram comes down and strikes. If we throttle that airflow at all, it's going to provide a dampening effect and the hammer's not going to be able to strike quick enough. Well, check this out. Compare that with the original and you will see that the original has the opportunity for a lot more airflow, and that is because of these draft angles in the casting that we obviously don't have at the moment. So it's time to put an angle on things. Another real head scratcher for me in the manufacturing of this piece, because I know from my CAD drawings that I need a 4-degree angle, but I don't know whether the best thing is to nod the indexing head to 4 degrees, whether I should twist the head of the Bridgeport to 4 degrees, or whether I magically need to come up with a 4-degree tapered end mill, or would that be an 8-degree tapered end mill? I don't know. You see, as it stands, we currently know where the exact middle of the center of rotation of our part is. As soon as we go ahead and twist our part, we don't know where the center of rotation is so well. Things are going to be changing. What about when we then offset again? Things are going to be changing. It all feels really complex. The simple solution, of course, would be to scribe it up and just work by eye, but in an ideal world, I'd be able to figure this out with the maths and machine a precise part for the pleasure of trying to do something that's really hard and out of my comfort zone. I've committed to a plan. I figured out how we're going to calculate it properly. I had to go 12 years back in my memory from the last time I did any of these calculations. It's a very simple 2 right-angle triangle problem. This is our part. It is tipped 4 degrees off of the Z-axis. Here is our X-axis. We need to know how far in on X our cutter needs to go to get our final feature plumb there. So it's one 4-degree, 25mm long right-angle triangle, which will get us the length of side Y. Another 4-degree right-angle triangle gets us the side X. And once I touch off on our part, that is how far in we've got to go. Ha! Got there in the end. Ta-da! I made assumptions. Assumptions is bad here. That would be perfect if it was for the fact that I made the drawing perfect, and that 4-degree angle is exactly what we needed, but as we can see, there is a lot more air here than there is there. I made assumptions in the drawing. I'm going to increase the draft angle so that we can get the flow of the exhaust air just right. Now time for the scariest part of any machining jobs, and that is committing to taking it out of the chuck. We need to make our bronze bush. Woohoo! Look at that! That may just be the most complex piece that I have ever machined. How fun is that? There we go. I am very happy with the improvement from the original. But we do need to see how it fits in here. Does it fit how I intended? Snug push fit. Just warm this up a little bit. Yes! God, if that isn't the perfect representation of how materials expand and contract with temperature, I don't know what is. Went from not being able to push in with my hands, warmed it up like 10 degrees and it went in. Wow. That is our new valve. That's the ticket, boys and girls. Ta-da. That can live there, separating the end of the valve from 110-year-old nut and one very old lock nut. I don't think that could be any better. That is the piston valve assembly complete. The idea of making this valve scared me, but I'm so thrilled to have pulled it off. But that doesn't mean that I'm any less scared about the next task, which is going to be fixing the unthreading of our piston, making an entirely new piston ring. which is a really critical component. There's going to be a lot for me to learn in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Perplexity for sponsoring this episode. Go try the tools that I have built at the link in the description and have a think about what tools you can build to help you in the workshop with it. And I appreciate your time. Bye-bye.